Yeah, because the problem is, like, let's say you're new to Linux and you want to make sure that your system's hardened. It's like, what do you do? So this is nice that it gives you an idea of what you actually need to do.
The first are called CIS controls. The other is CIS benchmarks. Are you familiar with either of these?
No, tell us, because assuming I know nothing, Kyle.
And this is all free. Everything takes between like 30 and 60 minutes to do, but it's all hands-on exercises. Great, valuable learning opportunities.
So just for everyone who's watching, if you're new to Linux and you've got a desktop computer, like you're running Zorin OS or Ubuntu on desktop, you don't want to do this. Typically, you don't want to do this. This is more for servers. Hey everyone, it's David Bombal back with Kyle. Kyle, great to have you back on the show.
Great to be back here at Cisco Live Amsterdam.
So, dude, I love the stuff that we do together. And today, I believe you got a really cool and important topic, because I've been recommending that people install Linux because of some of the problems with Microsoft. Let's leave it at that. So I've been saying install Zorin OS or Ubuntu. Mint's very popular. A lot of distros are really popular. But what about security, Kyle? Because, it's a worry.
So the reality is that with a ton of these open source Linux distributions that exist out there, they're built for convenience.
Yep.
And there's a lot of misconfigurations that don't put security first in the forefront of the thought as they come out. And the reality is that when you look at it from a cloud perspective, 99% of cloud breaches have a root cause that could be prevented just by the proper configuration. If we take a look at things like Kubernetes API servers, 70% of them are publicly accessible.
Yeah, it's
72%
crazy.
of S3 buckets have public read access. I mean, misconfigurations are just a common thing. And when we look at Linux distributions, what comes out the box isn't always what's built for security. It's oftentimes built more for convenience. So it's really important that we make sure that we put security in the forefront of what we do here.
Yeah.
And there's great ways and great tools and organizations to help you with that. Have you heard of the Center for Internet Security before?
Yeah.
Yeah, so CIS, Center for Internet Security, they're a nonprofit, really dedicated about cybersecurity readiness and making sure that people apply this global set of best practices that's driven through community consensus. People here from Cisco are part of the community consensus as well. Tons of organizations all across the globe. And they really put out two primary things of output. The first are called CIS controls. The other is CIS benchmarks. Are you familiar with either of these?
No, tell us, because assuming I know nothing, Kyle.
Yeah, so the CIS controls, those are like the prescriptive, prioritized, simplified set of best practices that people need to strengthen their system. So there's 18 overarching CIS controls.
I hope you've got like a simple way to do this, because it sounds complicated.
Well, it gets easy, trust me. But, the controls themselves, think of it as like a high-level thing, like I need to require multi-factor authentication, or I need to make sure that I restrict administrative privileges.
Yeah.
These are the different types of CIS controls, and depending on how advanced or large-scale your organization is, there are certain ones that you need to do and certain ones that you don't. They make it very simple into what they call implementation groups. So if you're a smaller organization, you can focus on the basic ones and protect against 77 different types of malware, 77% of malware as an example.
Yeah.
But if you go all the way through to what they call IG3, that organizational top level group of CIS controls, you're able to really cover 94% of malware that exists out there. So just by doing these best practices, you can significantly improve your security posture. So you have the CIS controls that are really kind of those overarching principles. And then I mentioned the CIS benchmarks as well too. That's the how to do it.
Okay.
So, we'll tell you, for example, restrict administrative privileges, but there's so many different types of operating systems out there. You mentioned one as well, but it goes beyond operating systems. There's mobile devices, there's different types of printers and all these different types of things that are running software at the end of the day, and those need to be secure as well. So these CIS benchmarks are really the recommendations for hardening those technologies and the actual prescriptive steps that you need to do it. So, for example, instead of just saying restrict administrative privileges,
like how do I do it?
One of them will be, for example, disable root SSH login.
Yeah.
And it'll go through and tell you how to audit your system to determine if you allow root SSH login to begin with, or if you need to fix it, then what are the actual steps that you need to take to do that? And those are all aligned with the different CIS controls as well. So it makes it really easy to kind of tie those things together. And one of the great things as well about CIS is that they put out hardened benchmark images as well too.
Oh, that's good.
So if you're a member of
you can download it, right?
Exactly. If you're a member of CIS, you can go to their website, be able to download, for example, a hardened version of Linux that has all of these controls and benchmarks already in place. So that way you can start with a hardened image instead of going out there publicly and just grabbing whatever's out there and just building it out from scratch. Now, I know a lot of organizations can't necessarily do that. They have to work with what they have, and maybe it's what's open source and publicly available, or maybe it's what's in their employer's repository that's available to them. So there are some tools that are available as well. Have you heard of Linus before?
No, tell us. Assume I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so Linus is a great open source tool that is built largely with things like the CIS controls and benchmarks.
Yeah.
It's open source. You can install it very quickly from the command line and be able to really audit your system to see how secure it is and how hardened it is.
Yeah.
So I can just go ahead and show you really
That'd be
quick
great,
if you'd
because
like.
I was hoping you're going to get to a demo, Kyle.
Yeah, so I have here, you can see on my screen here, I have just basically the base version of Ubuntu that's running out right now.
So you didn't install much in it, right?
No, the only things, this is the base stuff. The only thing that I added was an open SSH server. I think I put the AWS CLI on here, as well as Minikube, just stuff that most people would probably put on there already, but nothing crazy. And we're just going to go ahead and install Linus very quickly like this, just with the simple apt function here. And it's Linus with a Y like that.
Yeah.
So if I go ahead and run that, enter in my password here, that's going to go ahead and install very quickly and easily. And once that's done, we have the ability to audit our system and see how hardened it is.
That's great, because the problem is, right, you might have to do I can't remember the exact number, like 50 different things that you have to do.
Yeah. I mean, in some cases, it's even more than that. I mean, let's go ahead and just run this really quick, and you can see what kind of audit it gives us here. So we're just going to say sudo Linus audit. We're going to audit the system, and just for the sake of time, we're going to make this a quick audit here. Go ahead and run that. You can see it's running, scanning different types of things, looking at boot services, the different services that are running,
That's nice.
Storage, ports, all this different stuff. And it's going to give us a nice score at the end as well, too, that says out of 100, how hardened and secure is the system?
Carl, sorry, let me ask you this question, because in the beginning I spoke about like a desktop operating system. This is Ubuntu, right?
Correct.
And is it server?
Yeah, this is Ubuntu server. You can run this software, though, on Ubuntu desktop if you'd like as well, too. It's basically any version of Linux. It should be able to support it.
Because it's just doing an audit, right?
Exactly. It's just scanning all the different things. And we can see here, for example, we'll get the kind of review. It'll give us our warnings here first. These are our major things that we need to look at. And then from there, it's got lots of different recommendations and suggestions on ways to further harden your system.
You need to update your system. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, fail to ban is something that it recommends that I install on here. There's lots of different details in here. Configuring password hashing as an example. Installing a PAM module, setting expiration dates for passwords on protected accounts. These are things that are not done by default. Password ages as an example, but you can configure these things very easily, and this is giving you essentially a really strong audit of how to go about doing that.
Yeah, because the problem is, like, let's say you're new to Linux and you want to make sure that your system's hardened. It's like, what do you do? So this is nice that it gives you an idea of what you actually need to do.
Absolutely. And let me just find really quick here. So you can see right here our hardening index. This is our summary of everything that was scanned here. And out of a scale of 100, we scored a 59 on this system. And now this is just the base install. I haven't really configured much additional other than open SSH server and Minikube and the AWS CLI. And those are things that people typically install anyways. But 59 out of 100, if I was in school, that would not be a passing grade, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it's really important to make sure that we audit our systems regularly, not just to keep up with the emerging threats, but to make sure that we are constantly tracking against the baseline and making sure that our systems are as secure as possible.
And just to reiterate, this is a free piece of software that you just installed.
Yeah, this is free, open source. It's easy to use. We have a tutorial on Cisco U that will show you how to use this, as well as take you through some of the steps to actually further harden this, so you can retest it again later and see how those changes affect the system. So if you go to u.cisco.com, we have a tutorial there called Harden Your Linux Server with Open Source Tools and Best Practices. And it'll teach you how to use Linus, but it'll also teach you some of the steps and recommendations, how to apply those.
Is this free, though? Sorry,
this is completely free for anybody. All you need to do is have a Cisco U account, and you can just
register for that.
You can just register. It's free. You can even use something as simple, I think, as Facebook to get in and get an account as well. So very easy, very straightforward to do. Just to show you a little bit of that tutorial here, we can come in and...
You wrote this tutorial?
Yes, this is something that I wrote. We put this out. It'll cover things like, for example, how do you do these different types of tests with Linus? How do you harden your SSH configuration as an example? Let's just go ahead and do one of these here just to kind of show you a little bit.
What's fail to ban?
So fail to ban will detect for different types of brute force login attempts that are occurring, or dictionary attacks as well too. And if it notices some kind of suspicious pattern of logins that's occurring, it's going to block that particular host from being able to communicate with that device. So it's a great way to prevent things like brute force attacks from occurring.
So just scroll down. So you're actually showing like, okay, this is how you configure it, and then you talk about it, right? So keep going. I see what you're doing, checking the status. You're showing what's happening. Okay, great. So I could literally sign up to Cisco U and then go through your tutorial and then run that kind of stuff on my system. But obviously making sure that I, whatever commands I put on my own system are at my own risk.
Yes, correct. Yeah, it's all pretty easy and straightforward to do. I mean, like I said, these systems don't come with security in the forefront when by default. So we try to make it as easy as possible to teach people how to go about securing these systems themselves, because we don't want this to be a weak point.
But can you explain UFW? And because that's something that would apply both to servers and to desktops.
Yeah, so UFW is a firewall. It's very straightforward and easy to use. We can go ahead. It typically comes installed by default, but it might not be turned on necessarily.
So let's have a look. So your first command is like show the status. So let's do that on your system.
Yes. So let's jump back over to my command line here, and we'll say sudo UFW status. You can see that it's inactive.
And that's the problem, right? Because you get a new Linux system, your firewall's not enabled.
Exactly. By default, it's turned off. That's not the best for security perspective. So for us now, we just need to come in here, enable that, and set up some firewall rules to make sure that it's allowed to communicate in the way that we want it to. So just to show you some of the things that we can do here just to kind of get this activated now, I'm going to go ahead and copy this command from the tutorial. This is going to, by default, deny any incoming communications from the server.
Which is you want.
That's a great place to start. Typically, you want to start with the principle of least privilege. So we'll go ahead and apply that rule here. And then we're going to, in this case, we want to allow outgoing communications. We want this host to be able to communicate outbound to other parts of our network. So we're just going to go ahead and run this again, but then change this from deny to allow outgoing. And that updates that there as well too. So now people can't communicate into this particular device, but it's allowed to communicate out. It's a bit more hardened in this sense. You can still obviously refine that a bit further, maybe specify the specific ports and protocols that you want it to communicate out on.
You might want SSH in, but probably not on a desktop necessarily, but on a server, you're going to want to allow inbound SSH connections, right?
Exactly. So let me just go ahead and apply this.
Okay, so I see actually in your tutorial, you're actually doing SSH right there, but you're obviously using a different port number rather than the standard 22.
Exactly. Actually, one of the recommendations is not to use the default SSH port, because typically scanners are looking at that port already on a regular basis. So if you switch your port from 22, which is standard, to in this case 2222, that actually makes the system more secure as well. So let's go ahead and just do that. Go ahead and copy that in there. Jump back to our command line and paste that in there. And just like that, we have allowed an inbound connection on 2222 for SSH.
So just for everyone who's watching, if you're new to Linux and you've got a desktop computer like you're running Zorin OS or Ubuntu on desktop, you don't want to do this. Typically, you don't want to do this. This is more for servers.
Yeah, you'll also need to update the SSH config to also be listening on that particular port as well too. But for the sake of time, we'll just go ahead and update the firewall rules and then reapply those changes to our SSH config later on.
Good point.
So once you have these changes in here, let's jump back over here and we can go ahead and apply these with the simple command here to enable this firewall. And let's just go ahead and just paste this in here. It's just sudo UFW. We're going to force it to start and enable. And now our firewall is enabled and active. And if we want to run that command earlier to check the status, we'll see that we do have it up and running now. So if we want to go ahead now and run Linus again, we can see that that should adjust the scoring a little bit as well too on our system. It should be a little bit more hardened now. So let's just go ahead and run that and see how it affects and changes things.
Kyle, while we're waiting for that to run, in your tutorial, you're covering a bunch of stuff here, like hardening SSH.
Yes.
And that's what you were mentioning, like you have to do some stuff on SSH. You're managing your file permissions. Anything else you want to highlight in the tutorial?
Yeah, there's so much that you need to do to harden it, and we could spend hours doing this. We put some of the things in here in the tutorial to teach you that already. Things like managing and disabling unnecessary services, hardening the SSH configuration, hardening file permissions as well too. These things are all very important, obviously, to hardening a Linux distribution, but they're just the tip of the iceberg as well. It really depends on the use cases, how your organization functions and works, and what their requirements are as well too.
But I need to emphasize, the Cisco U tutorial is free, and there are a bunch of other tutorials on Cisco's website as well for free.
Absolutely, yeah. This is just one of the examples of the free content that we have on Cisco U. That's u.cisco.com. And if you come in here, like I said, there's tons of stuff in here, but everything that's listed as a tutorial here, if I just filter on it, 228 things. These are all free. We even have a new one out there. Maybe we'll cover it on the next episode.
Yeah, beef, come on, dude.
Yeah, browser exploitation framework.
You got to come back with beef, yeah.
We'll cover that next time. I think your audience would love that. But like I said, tons of stuff that's available on here for you. And this is all free. Everything takes between like 30 and 60 minutes to do, but it's all hands-on exercises. Great, valuable learning opportunities.
Okay, but let's say I want to learn more from you. Do you have like content that you put online that I can like watch you, listen to you or something?
Yeah, so a great place you can check out some more stuff is our YouTube channel, our Learn with Cisco YouTube channel. I've got a show on there called Security Unlocked. So if you go to youtube.com/@Cisco YouTube, you'll be able to see our show here, Security Unlocked, and learn a ton of cool stuff. I'm interviewing experts on a regular basis. We're diving into different demos, whether it's topics like ethical hacking or even working with the SOC here at Cisco Live to understand how they work. Tons of great stuff, tons of very just hands-on learning that you can do inside of here. So I highly recommend you check out Security Unlocked. It's on YouTube right now.
That's great, Kyle. So what was the result of our audit?
So yeah, so taking a look,
you went up 1%.
Before we were at a score of 59, now we're at a score of 60. So incremental improvements, there's a lot that goes into hardening a Linux environment. We just spent, just a couple minutes here. We moved the needles in the right direction at least, which is good, but there's a lot more work to be done. It's like I said, it's important to audit these systems and know where they're at. It's also very valuable too that organizations like CIS offer hardened images as well, where it can save you a lot of the time and effort here as well.
Carl, thanks so much. Really appreciate you sharing. Hopefully we can get you back for beef and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
For everyone watching, let us know your comments. What topics do you want Carl to cover? And go and subscribe to the Cisco U YouTube channel. Go show the love. Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.